risks can be taken earlier on in careers, and I definitely advise people to walk the entrepreneurial path because there's a lot of pain and struggle through the journey, but there is a lot of joy at what you're doing because you're actually creating something, you're impacting so many lives.
Hey guys, welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb, your host, and today, the guest that we have on the show is Raymond. He's one of the co-founders of a company called Biryani Blues, which is a QSR, quick service restaurant, that provides very tasty biryani at an affordable price. So I was talking to you a little bit off camera about how when you guys started, your start was very humble, right? It's not like you opened 5 or 6 restaurants all at once. It was just one little biryani shop.
Thanks, Caleb. Great to be on the show. You're right. Our beginnings were pretty humble because we bootstrapped with very little funds, and we opened our first store with the vision to actually be making an Indian quick service restaurant chain that was built on with the vision to be global, to be over 1,000 stores. The brands that we aspire to work as are Domino's and McDonald's and KFC. Indian food, for some reason, has always been limited to certain regions or not been able to scale because preparation of those food are very complex, right? It involves a lot of spices, timings in cooking, and you need skilled chefs. So while the food is great, there is some bit of technical skill involved.
But were you guys professional biryani makers when you started out? Because it sounds like it's very complicated.
No, actually far from it. So I've done about 15 years of working in a professional role, of which most has been with the financial services. I was with Max New York Life, and prior to that with Airtel, the telecom space. My co-founder and wife Aparna was with financial services again, with Citi and with GE Money. Having said that, we've always loved the concept of having a restaurant, but we always wanted it to be large. We started in a small 250 square feet store. We started biryani because we are both from Hyderabad, and in Hyderabad, biryani is staple. So it's like pizza to Italians. So we realized that the cuisine was limited to the city of Hyderabad, and there was a lot of potential for that product because it was the right mix of carbs and protein, and very much like a burger and a pizza, but it already had the Indian taste. So you didn't have to sell a biryani to an Indian, right? He's already consuming it. We also saw a great gap in the fact that there was no organized player across the country. So every market had a local hero, which people ordered their biryani from, and every restaurant had biryani listed on their menu. So now these two things were key drivers for us, coupled by the fact that we wanted to be entrepreneurs. And we saw that taking our home cuisine where we grew up in the city of Hyderabad, national and then global, was a great opportunity, and it was something we wanted to do.
I know you were talking about how every city kind of has like a local hero, right? Somebody who's providing really good biryani, but it's not really something that they're scaling up, right? They're not trying to go pan India, they're not trying to go international. So what were some of the barriers or the challenges with entering into, because every new city, right, there's already people there that are making biryani, even though it's not sort of standardized, they're not like scaled out across the country, but was it hard to come in with so many other people making biryani at smaller scales?
Well, actually not.
Not really.
So if you have a great product, I guess the most advertising happens with that. You don't have to spend too much in trying to win over your customers from other brands.
And what you guys have done really well is your branding, right? That's another thing that I've noticed.
Sure, I think that's a part of the experience that we brought in. We were not professional chefs or from the industry, right? So what we had and knew was basically finance and marketing, and that's what we brought to the desk. But on the food, we've done a lot of research because I think biryani traditionally has been very old world and old school. So like you just pointed out that there are a lot of local people who love those brands, but they're not able to scale. So I think innovation has not happened in the method of cooking. While keeping the methodology and the taste and the texture of the product authentic, we've still been able to do a lot of research in the last 4 years. And I think about a year and a half back, we cracked it finally. Today, we are able to scale very fast because we use technology also in the preparation of the biryani. And somewhere the local heroes can coexist with national brands. Just like there are so many local pizza brands that coexist with a Domino's or a Pizza Hut. and the market is very large. We've seen large giants from the south of India come to NCR, and we've still seen our sales grow every month. So the product is the most searched product on online aggregators. So chicken biryani is the number one product searched on a Swiggy or a Zomato today.
Even more than pizza, right?
Even more than pizza. So I guess the market is very large, and we are one among the few brands who are trying to actually become an organized player, which is a brand of choice, and that's the vision, I guess. And like you said, a great quality product at a reasonable price, delivered on time with the same taste every time. Sure. So that's what we want to build, and I think we are very early stages of our journey. While we are at a good stage in our career, we are by far the market leader of this market. There's a long way to go because the country is very large.
But it sounds like it was pretty. You didn't face a lot of resistance when you were sort of entering into new areas, like for example, when you entered into Chandigarh or maybe.
So not really.
Not really. But what were some of the challenges that you faced?
So, for instance, see, the good part about moving to satellite towns from a metro is that the people have usually traveled to Delhi and have gone back, so they have interacted with the brand. We have the unique, ability or the unique proposition that we are both online and offline. So while we do a major chunk of home delivery sales, and that's how we conceive the brand, we have a lot of physical store presence. So if anybody's flying out of the airport from Delhi, he'll interact with the brand. If he goes to see a movie in a multiplex, he'll interact with the brand. Plus, we are on major high streets across. So that's a constant reckoner, or that keeps building the brand even when we are not advertising. So having said that, anybody who's visited the city and gone back would have somewhere seen our brand because we are in all the prominent places. Now, when you go to a smaller town, it becomes aspirational for the people there that a band from a metro has come to our town. So it's like something going from something that started in Bombay and has gone to a smaller town in the west, or in Hyderabad and it's gone to a Warangal or Vijayawada, right? So automatically the aspirational value is there. So it's easier when we go to smaller towns, but that may not be the same when we go to east or west. We'll have to start from scratch because not many people would know of the brand or hear of the brand.
Right.
So I think those challenges, we will take them as they come. But the vision is to be the most dominant player and the market leader in whichever market we go. So we are not in a hurry to spread ourselves thin and rush to many cities at this time, to work at one at a time. And I guess that's a strategy that's worked for us till now. We're hoping it will continue.
But it does, I know you were saying earlier, your long-term vision is to even expand outside of India, right? And you're doing that a little bit in you said
UAE.
UAE, exactly. And that's kind of an amazing thing, because imagine if, people thought of, like you were saying, pizza or, hamburgers is another sort of international food that a lot of people have heard of. And then biryani, right? That could be sort of like India's contribution, because right now you think of maybe it's curry, or in some places like butter chicken, exactly. But like, I think biryani is even probably it's more how can I say it can please more people, right? Like butter chicken isn't for everybody.
It'll have a better acceptance.
Exactly.
Because people eat rice. I think rice is consumed across the globe in various forms, and I think biryani is the right mix of carbs and protein, like I said. So it's a complete meal and it's a single meal. So you don't need accompaniments. Unlike butter chicken, you'll need a naan or a roti and all that. And then you need some other dal with it. It becomes complex and messy. The biryani works very well for right from a everyday working lunch to a celebratory party at your home, right? So it transforms itself in various occasions. So you can have something at an entry level, which is a $2 product, going up to almost $20 product in the same product, right? By the way it gets presented in the size and the presentation and everything. So it is celebratory in nature. When you're happy, what do you want to eat? You want to eat a biryani. So that's the way it is, right? So I think it has a universal appeal. And in our Connaught Place store, we see a lot of foreigners who visit India, who come to tour across NCR. I think 30% of our store is always filled with people from across the globe. So it has, in some sense, a universal appeal. So I'm seeing happy customers go out. So that I think is an added advantage. And when we selected UAE, or when we will select future countries, it is also the fact that there's a lot of Indian diaspora who's migrated to these places. And that makes a lot of sense for us to take this product there, because it also gives them a nostalgia. There's an emotional value with the product, and then it's an Indian brand, so I'm sure it will do well with those markets.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunity across India and then also abroad as well. I'm just curious, sort of to close this out. What is there? Because there's a lot of young people that are thinking now is a great time to get into the food and beverage industry here in India, right? There's tons of opportunity to take these old traditional foods like biryani, but there's plenty of others, and sort of put a new modern twist on them and actually scale things up more than anybody else ever has. What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs that are trying to enter into this space?
So the first thing that I probably want to share is that before you get into an entrepreneurial journey, you have to be really passionate about what you want to do, right? While you can have a plethora of choices, right? Finally, once you start, it's very difficult to turn off, right? So the direction you start in has to be very clear. In an entrepreneurial journey, I guess there are two stages which you have to be very critical of, which is one is when you reach a certain proven scale, okay, and second is the fact that you want to take it to a certain level, right? In both these stages, you will need support. So, are you self-sufficiently funded? Are you having a co-founder? Are you going to have a backup plan? Right? These are things that probably a younger person needs to think of, right? Or the other thing is to gain some experience before you actually jump into entrepreneurship. So I'm not meaning like you take 15 years to decide, but at least a couple of years working in some well-rounded organizations will probably shape you up better. They'll teach you the ropes on how to manage brands, how to understand finances, and right. It's a learning time. It's a learning curve that you will probably accelerate if you work with some organization first. Having said that, once you jump in, I think the passion is more important than anything else, and if you're completely focused on doing something, it will surely happen. So for us, we had to manage a lot of things before we actually got the bandwidth and the stability that we could actually, one of us could quit and start a business, right? The newer generation does not need to wait so long, right? India has changed, right? People are more affluent in that sense, and risks can be taken earlier on in careers, and I definitely advise people to walk the entrepreneurial path because there's a lot of pain and struggle through the journey, but there is a lot of joy at what you're doing because you're actually creating something, you're impacting so many lives. Today we impact about 150,000 families a month, which is big for us at this scale, right? So you're entering so many homes, people are recognizing the brand, people love the brand, people are growing up with the brand. So we've known some customers who were college kids when they interact with the brand. Now they're parents working, so, and they still come. So, and then now the kids are coming, right? So there are 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds who are talking. So last 6.5 years, we've been able to build some emotional connect with people. And I guess if that's your calling, and if food is your calling, then you should be very clear and then find a unique selling proposition that's different, because in food especially, it looks very easy from the outside. It's not so easy. It's very complex. So unless you have something special, or there is something you're going to do very differently, or if you're an expert at something that you think is going to be very different from all the other in the similar space, you should not start. Right. So when we started Hyderabadi biryani, everyone told us that rice doesn't sell in the north. So Delhi eats only roti. They don't eat too much rice. So rice is a South Indian thing. But we were very sure that this product that we had, the authentic Hyderabadi biryani, had universal appeal and it would sell. And I think today we've grown the market. We were first off the block on biryani here. Now there's a lot of people who want to do it and are doing it. But we were very convinced that this was something that will work. So unless you're getting that gut feeling inside yourself and you're very confident of the product, you've done your product testing, you've done some pilots, I think just jumping in, because it looks very easy. I know of tons of people who've started restaurants and shut them down within the first year, right? So it's a complex model and it only works on scale, right? So, or on very minuscule size. So you can either run a couple of restaurants and run the house with it, or run your family with it, or the next one is that you get really large. The in between is too risky because you're carrying multiple issues, but you don't have a management. When you get large, you're able to deploy teams, you're able to deploy a lot of manpower because the turnover is so high and these costs can come in. But if you're running a 10-store thing, it's going to be really difficult. So you're either at 50 plus or you're at 3. I think that's the sweet spot that you should know what your decision is or what you want to do. And that's what the food business is all about.
That's some very good advice. I think those are insights that probably only you can really share, right? Because that's not something that a lot of people know, that either stay small or go big, but don't sort of
dabble in the
Try,
middle.
try not to find yourself in the middle, because that's a very bad place to be. If you guys want to know more about Biryani Blues, or you want to know more about Raymond, I'm going to be putting a couple of links down below so you can go check those out. And if you have any questions about the company or about Raymond's journey, we'd love it if you could leave a comment down below. And also, we'd really appreciate it if you could share this video with anybody that you think would get value out of it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for coming on the show, Raymond.
Thank you, Galen.
Yeah. I think Devesh has made some biryani for me upstairs.
All right.
So I'm probably gonna
Sure.
go grab a bite before I'm heading out.